Welcome to Spilling the LoyalTEA. Spilling the LoyalTEA is a Digitas podcast. I am co-host Brad Blackmon.
And I am co-host Melissa Berger, still in Cannes, still living this glorious, beautiful, chaotic life.
Yeah,
Day
very
two.
hot.
Day 4-ish.
Day 2.
It is quite toasty,
Yeah.
which is why I'm wearing my sponsored by Miraval hat. I wish I was, in case you're listening. Love your wine. Happy to be here. Happy to be wearing my Miraval hat to give us some shade and just, help us drink wine.
It's
easier and faster.
It's one of these days here. Like, listen, I love being in the south of France. I love being here. Yesterday was breezier and I think lighter in temperature. Yeah. I think today is boiling.
Twisty.
No matter where you are, there's no breeze coming from the water.
No.
2 outfit a day.
It is, if
God
not
we
3.
Brought that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our special guest.
We have a special guest who is a dear friend of mine. Kim, would you please introduce yourself?
Of course. Hello, listeners. I'm Kim Einan, and I am Starcom's U.S. and Global Chief Strategy Officer.
We are honored to have you.
Okay, so I have something about Kim. I've heard about you, Kim, for a year. Okay, so any best friend of Melissa is a best friend of mine.
Love it.
You are now my best friend as well.
Yes.
But I hear the most amazing things about you, and I love the relationship you have, and I love how your relationship came about, which we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But we're so thankful because I know you're, as the Chief Strategy Officer of Starcom, you are very busy.
Oh,
and the
as
fact
we
that you
all are
took,
here.
I know, but
Yeah.
as you took time to come here today, it means a lot to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
So you're doing quite a few things here, but you have a panel tomorrow. Talk to us a
I
little bit
do.
about what you have this week. What's going on? How are you enjoying it?
Well, first of all, I am enjoying it. It is a lot, though. I mean, it is. I described to somebody that this is like a really hot CES on steroids.
Yeah, you're
because
spot on.
You are double booked and triple booked, and really, as an agency partner, trying to cover off your vendor partners, your client engagements, and then other things that we have organized as Publicis. So it's a lot, but it's a combination of you're kind of switching gears and you're the client talking with a partner, and then it's kind of role reversal as you take a client out to lunch. And we are so fortunate to have great partners here, great clients, and so it's a lot, but it's going quickly too.
Well, and you hustle from those that have been here or haven't. You hustle from like beach experience to beach experience, and then every now and then you look up and you're like, "Oh my gosh, the water is beautiful here." Or
I took a picture for the first time of the water because I hadn't even looked up.
Yeah,
really.
you're like,
so,
wow.
Yes, yeah.
We were lucky enough to be with LinkedIn today, Melissa and I. They hosted us at a B2B summit, a leadership summit. It was awesome. And they took us on a boat to an island just off the coast of Cannes. When we got over there, you can see the Alps are snow-capped actually above Cannes, but here you can't see that, but from afar you can. And we were like, we're boiling down here. It's beautiful water on the beach, and we see snow-capped Alps. Like, where in the world are we? It's amazing.
It really is a gorgeous setting.
Yeah, for sure. So, as the Chief Strategy Officer of Starcom, what is that? Tell our listeners, what does that mean?
Sure.
What do you do? And it's U.S. and global.
It is.
So that's a huge role. And a lot of our listeners are always wanting to know how to get into the industry. What does it mean within a media world? And you're a media boss. Like, you are
Isn't she?
doing amazing stuff. So I'd like for you to unpack your role a bit and just tell the listeners what that means.
Yeah. I'll give you the quick answer, and then if you want more, happy to dive deeper.
We love more.
But on the Starcom side, as Chief Strategy Officer, I have a remit over several different departments. So strategy, not surprisingly, media planning, content, and then also a year and a half ago, I developed and launched a new insights practice within Starcom, covering people, business, and cultural intelligence. Obviously, those are different departments, but they work really cohesively together. And part of the intent in bringing content under me was to bring content further upstream so that it isn't an afterthought, but it's rather integral to the way that we answer media briefs for our clients, whether they be existing or prospective clients.
Yep. Which is incredible because I think, no one likes to be the afterthought.
Yeah.
And I think it makes campaigns and work stronger to really think about the audience. So it sounds like all the components that you have now, audience and insights, understanding culture, content, but then how does that all feed into the overarching media strategy of the work you're doing? So I'm sure that connectivity of insights has made the team even stronger than you were before.
100%. The work is elevated significantly, both from a not just media strategy, but my strategists cover, yes, media strategy, but oftentimes connection strategy or even comm strategy. And it's all just dependent on kind of the network of agencies that are touching a client's business. But then I have to recruit for people who are able to do the spectrum of different strategy that might be required within Starcom.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, Kim and I met a little over a year ago. There was a pitch that there was you know, how it used to be a bullet of serum and loyalty kind of inserted into a media ask. And I was the lucky straw winner. Thank you. I met Kim, got to work with her, and then fast forward a year later, we were able to do the final pitch together. Had an incredible time. And I will say, one, I think that pitch specifically, your leadership on it was just incredible. Power of ones, as we know within Publicis, are complicated, but we talked earlier outside, it was the dream team.
Really was.
Some of the most amazing people across the entire group that were part of this, and it made it easy. But I think the leadership from you, the leadership from Rohan and Tamina, really helped kind of like, you know, make the team feel more connected and know what the North Star was from the start, which I think was huge. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on just kind of like Power of One, the relationship around kind of pulling in other agencies and how you as a leader really helped drive that connectivity across all of us.
Sure. I mean, first of all, couldn't agree more that was really the dream team. And I do think we're continuing to get better as a network with Power of One as we have more at bats and we really start to take notice of what's working and what's not working and bring that forward to the next experience. Clearly, it would not have come together the way it did if we didn't have the right talent. But I think more so because we are becoming more practiced in Power of One, the ease in which different agencies within Publicis are collaborating is, I mean, I've just night and day, I'm sure you've seen the same change in the positive over the last couple years. Yeah. But I also think that as senior leaders in the company, we're also now looking for opportunity rather than it has to or I got to answer the phone. Yeah, we are looking actively for opportunities to bring in more aspects of Publicis into how we are answering a client's brief. Yes. And it really demonstrates then the advantage that we have as a holdco. I mean, we even consulted with Sapient on this pitch. Yep. And I really think we're going to see it continue to set us apart.
I think so too. And it's interesting because tying back to kind of Brad mentioned the leadership forum with B2B we went to today. There's a lot of talk about just creativity in B2B, but one of the most amazing insights we heard that really ties spilling the loyalty together is that we're moving from the knowledge economy to the relationship economy. And the focus on not just years of experience or what your title is, but what are your soft skills? Are you a people person or are you a collaborator? So think about if we had non-collaborators or non-people, right? So I think like that really resonated with Brad and I and just it. Like we're, you know, obviously we're B2B marketers for ourselves. We're selling Publicis Group, we're selling our individual agencies. And I think all of us would say we can do the job we do a lot of places. You stay for the people and the relationship. So I would love to hear your perspective on that as well.
Well, two things. One, yes, on the relationship kind of economy. I hadn't heard that before. Yeah. I think that's really smart.
I loved it.
And I love the implications that does have for the kind of people that we as an agency and a holdco would recruit.
Yeah, try to attract.
Yes,
for sure.
yes.
Yeah.
And I think an opportunity then to likely bring in even more divergent thinkers, which should make our work better. But also, one of the reasons why I love that phrase is it's so similar to the way that we are thinking about as Starcom media. Yep. We as an industry have gotten obsessed with attention. And I'm not going to say that attention doesn't matter. We have to care about attention in our industry because we created a problem as an industry.
Yes.
And we spent so much time kind of trying to interrupt consumers' experiences that they have started to tune us out, turn us off, which then as an industry, we got to be louder and break through to get that consumer attention. Yes. Yeah. So because we're doing it wrong, we have to care about attention. So we've been talking a lot about, rather than interrupting experiences, integrating brands into experiences in a meaningful way, in that it allows the brand to bring something new of value. And in exchange for that, we're much more likely to get that consumer attention. And thinking about that experience separate from the exposure we get from media, and are really now planning at the audience level to define what that appropriate balance is between exposure and experience based on that existing or non-existing relationship between that consumer and the brand.
100%. Well, we have two jobs, right? We have to help our clients build relationships with their customers, but then we also have to make sure that we're maintaining our own relationships and continuing to build them with vendors, partners, and clients like you kind of start from this. So, you know, we all have multiple jobs and multiple hats we wear, but I think like this was a really interesting discussion this morning.
You know what it said to me? It was like, that's where the magic is, I think. I think we've missed a little magic over the last little bit, and I think this whole building relationships, our side hustle of what we do, Kim, now you're my bestie, those types of things, or we've got besties at Epsilon or Sapien, or the list goes, Razor, whoever, you know, the list goes on. But that's when you come together and you have a true relationship, which everything can flourish from. And like the best ideas come out of that.
And how much more rewarding is our work when we recognize that we're connecting with others and building those relationships, but also then that's our responsibility as marketers to do that for our clients. It's just a little tweak on how we used to talk about our business, but I think it's such a powerful pivot.
It really
Agreed.
is. Yeah.
So I know how the two of you met because I've heard all about it, right? And I think what I wanted to ask you, Kim, about when you see massive media AORs or like the big RFPs that come through on a global or U.S. perspective, right? You are seeing the briefs come, and it used to be like just media. Then over time, it was like, let's have a few bullets of CRM that kind of come through. So we're seeing more of the integration. Now it seems like there's like more than 2 bullets. It's like 3 or 4 pages of also CRM stuff that's coming through. Are you seeing that? Melissa and I talk about it all the time, the integration of media and CRM and how important we think that is. Are you at Starcom kind of seeing that happen around the world too with the RFPs that are coming?
Yes, but not to the extent that we should. Most certainly, we're seeing the same thing. It's trending, I think, in the right direction.
Right.
Part of that is an outgrowth, I think, of clients recognizing that increasingly paid media is intersecting with CRM. Like, how are you pulling those two things apart?
Right.
And if you aren't taking advantage of the fact that those things are merging, then you're missing something as a brand and creating that connected consumer experience. So I think we will likely continue to see more as the industry, I won't put this on clients, but as the industry as a whole kind of accepts that more as a truism.
Yeah.
And then I think we as agency partners have to get even better at how we talk about creating a powerful and meaningful connection when those two things are connected, but yet you still need expertise from both sides to make that work.
Yes.
So,
well, I hope it continues because we want to work with you more.
We do.
Feeling is mutual.
And it's interesting because the fact that this hasn't always been the norm of, hey, you want to keep the customers you get, you should think about connecting those dots because the leaky bucket can be really tough. So I'm just excited that the industry is also finally moving in this direction and understanding the rationale behind it. It doesn't mean we're saying less media budget. It actually just means a more efficient and effective because you're not going after the same people over and over again. So something we've really talked a lot about is, retention is critical. It's critical for our business. It's critical for our clients' businesses. And that, something that Brad and I probably spend too much time talking
No, but we're passionate about it, right?
We are, yes.
And we love, again, building relationships with people like you who are also passionate about these things. So, again.
So, it's interesting because really some of the key kind of takeaways we heard this morning, again, the shift to the relationship economy, which we just love for so many reasons. The second piece was really around those softer skills and that just making sure people are collaborative, team builders, can partner. And then the third thing we just heard over and over was around kind of simplicity. A lot of these businesses and even some of the creative we saw today, it's complicated. And so how can we, from a creative perspective and even from a context of where we're placing creative, can help brands, clients understand? And one of the favorite things, I actually kind of circled it, is the fact that the brief really needs to focus on the customer promise. And I loved that. And
Yeah.
they've seen in B2B that is something that creative, far exceeds expectations if the brief is really focused on the customer promise. So 3 things we, heard this morning that I think were really impactful for Brad and I. One is the shift to the relationship economy. The other is just around like people skills, soft skills, really thinking about what matters for a business, and then simplicity. I think we could all take a lesson in simplicity, how we talk about ourselves, how we help our clients talk about ourselves. So is that something you've been thinking about too? Is it's where we're placing your media, what your mix is, how we're making sure that the context and the content really are meaningful?
Yeah, our business is getting more complicated, not
Less.
less, which kind of increases the burden on us to be even better storytellers.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't have to always share every last detail. And one of the things I love about some of the pitch work is that is oftentimes our best examples of making that really complex set of decisions sound so elegantly simple
Right.
that it's almost like, well, of course.
You put it on 4 words on a slide.
Of course, yeah. So I think we have a long way to go in doing that with excellence repeatedly on day-to-day client business.
Yeah.
But it's something in terms of being a storyteller that when you talk about the soft skills is one of those things that I would be looking for. Somebody who
Absolutely.
can
For sure.
make all of the complexities of our business,
Yeah, pull
sound
it together.
so elegantly simple.
Yeah, and can
Awesome.
help motivate others. I
Yeah,
think is
for
also
sure.
really important. So what's the coolest thing you've seen since you've been here?
Besides being here with us.
Obviously.
Yes,
Besides
that's
the
that's what I was going to.
This is
studio.
actually cool in here.
It is. This
Yes.
is such a
Most
reprieve.
interesting experience.
I might need to book that couch
Couch.
right there for a nap after this. I've seen a lot of great things. I've mostly, admittedly, had either partner meetings
Yes.
or client engagements, but I would say even just the setting for our Publicis gathering last night was just absolutely beautiful.
Stunning.
Yes, I'm constantly impressed with, as we're watching kind of the Spotify folks here kind of turn their space over
Yeah.
for the evening,
Yeah.
the fact that these are all temporary structures, and it's just so gorgeous.
Well,
So, yeah,
it's funny you say that because we've been saying the same thing. It is incredible how all of this goes up and
it goes down.
Yeah.
And these small touches, and I will say, Pinterest is one of my favorites so far because what they did is they brought the kind of experience of the Pinterest app to life in their space.
Yeah,
here.
it's awesome.
So-
You actually live out the different
Yeah,
modules.
you're creating and you're building a collage and you're pinning. So to me, it's like you almost like dove into the Pinterest app and you're kind of in it walking around, which I think is so meaningful. And
they
just
flew the
surround
creators
you.
here.
Yes.
So you're actually working with the jewelry creators that are on Pinterest and stuff. It's amazing.
Very
And I think
thoughtful.
for people who haven't been to Cannes, I do think that's what makes this so different
Yeah.
from like a CES. You're not just meeting with partners, you're experiencing that value
Yep.
proposition
Yes.
brought to life in the way that they've set up their spaces. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
awesome. Well, Kim, thank you for joining us today. So you're on panel. So Kim's a hot commodity here.
Hot commodity.
At Cannes. So where are you speaking? What else is going on this week for you?
So I have a speaking engagement tomorrow, and then that's the end of that kind of duty. But I am on a panel with TikTok tomorrow.
very cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Can't wait to hear about how that goes. And then I think we're seeing you Thursday, midday, maybe for a little catamaran
Yes.
adventure,
Oh,
which we're
that's
very
right.
excited about.
I'm so excited.
Yes, really thankful. Kim was like, hey, this is
I
fun.
might have added you to this invite.
Let me
Yes.
see. The only reason I'm getting to come is because you're now my best friend through Melissa.
Relationships,
Exactly.
connections,
There you
people
go.
skills. We're closing the loop here.
We
So,
are.
Thank you, everyone. We are so excited. And we have one more podcast
Yes, we
this
do.
week, Thursday. So we will be bringing you one more episode live from Cannes.
I know, but thank you, Kim. This was a treat for us, and thank you for joining us.
Pleasure
love
is
you.
mine.
Yes,
Thank
cool.
you.